I'm Garrett Hodge with Sumter Bee Company in Sumter, South Carolina. What I'm getting ready to do today is move one of these 5-frame nukes that are split that we made just over a month ago. I figured this is an appropriate time for this type of video because we're getting a lot of questions from our customers that have been coming today to pick up nukes, and will be coming during the rest of the week that are new beginner beekeepers. And you know, a common question is, how do I install my nuke into my full-size hive box? And so that's what we're going to get into right now. So this is a nuke that we're going to move. This is, we got a bottom board, 10-frame deep box, our cover that we're going to use. And here I've got 3 frames that are already in the box, and I've got 2 more new frames and foundation. In this case, I'm using 4 new frames with foundation because they've drawn out mostly everything that they have in here, and I have some spare drawn comb, and I have one of those here. So that's not necessary. If you don't have drawn comb, don't worry about it. You're going to move your 5 frames from your nuke in this box, and then you're going to add in 5 new frames with foundation if that's all you have. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this nuke box over off to the side, because in this exact location is where I'm going to place their large box, so I got to get it out of the way. It's getting a little late in the afternoon, so they may not be terribly happy with what I'm about to do. So just in case, I'll get the veil on here. Just gently move them off to the side. Feeder jar. We were feeding them up until the point that the honey flow started just about a week ago. And so if you're bringing home a nuke that you just purchased, it'd be great to already have this box set up in the place where you're gonna keep your bees. And then when you bring your nuke box home, you can sit it immediately beside or right on top until you're ready to actually move them into their new full-size colony. Smoke just a little bit, get them calmed down. It's always a good idea just to double check to make sure the queen is not on the inside of the top cover. It's not common that she's there, but it's not impossible either. And so what I'm going to do is, I've got the space opened up in the center of the box, and I'm just going to take the 5 frames out of the nuke and place them into this box in the exact same pattern that it came out. And as I'm going, I'm just going to do a quick inspection, just looking for, making sure they have food and brood. And so in this frame, you can see they've got some capped honey. There's a lot of drones running around on that outside frame. And here's some pollen and more capped honey. So they have been busy. And when you're prying open to separate your frames, try not to pry against the sides of the end bar. And you can use your hive tool like this, or wedge up on it any way you want, but just be careful with the end bars. If you damage these, it can affect the bee space between the frames. And here, this frame, there's you can see, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but there's a lot of open brood, a nice pattern on the center. Of course, the more mature larvae is in the center, and the younger larvae going out towards eggs the further you get from the center of the frame. And here's a nice brood pattern, a mixture of pollen and some capped honey along the top corners here. Some capped brood in the center, and then open brood larvae at different stages leading out from there. This is looking okay. Next frame. One thing to keep in mind when you're moving or manipulating the frames is to make sure that you're not moving rapid movements. Just try to be slow and smooth. There's a nice brood pattern. They're probably getting ready to run out of space in this box. They're backfilling a lot of the places where the brood is emerged here is being backfilled with nectar. So they really need this additional space, especially now that we're getting full swing into the honey flow. As of yet, I haven't seen the queen, but I'm not too concerned. There's plenty of evidence that she is in here. You see, some of these frames that they had when the split was made were brand new foundation that they'd drawn out already. And there's a nice brood pattern. You can see there's some pollen cap honey going around the outside and the top, and then a very nice brood pattern here with surrounded a little bit of pollen. There's some open brood right around the edges. So they definitely need this additional space. So if you don't move them quickly enough, there's a good chance this time of year that they may swarm. I'm just gonna, you can see they're starting to build up some burr comb in the top and bottom of the frames. Just gently try to scrape some of this off so they don't make too much of a mess. Let's get that. This frame. There's a nice pollen and honey frame. You can look close, you can see all of the different colors of the pollen they've been bringing in and storing. Also, this frame is a mixture of honey and pollen as well. So she's really running out of places to lay eggs here. So this was really just in time to get them moved in. And I've got, like I said, there's a new foundation, new frame and foundation I've got on the outside. There's the extra drawn comb that I had that came out of a dead out hive from the winter. The 5 frames out of the new. And so I can just slide these over. Slide my foundation over to this side. Grab my other 2 new frames of foundation. This was snapped in right. And now I'm just going to center my frames. I'm going to bring them together so my end bars are touching all the way across and right in the center of the hive. If you don't do that and you leave some of your frames spaced apart, they'll start gluing these. If they're touching the outside of the box, they'll start gluing your frame to the box. They'll fill this up with propolis and wax, and then it'll just make inspections much more difficult to try to work through your hive. So it's always good to center your frames, get the end bars touching, and don't have them touching the outside of the box if possible. So there's still some bees left behind in here. Take a quick look. I don't see the queen, and I'm just going to sort of gently shake them down into the box. And then there's a few left in there, but I can lean this up and they will find their way out and into the hive. And the same thing with the ones left here on the bottom board. Actually, there she is. That's why I say you always check, because you never know exactly where she's going to be in the hive. So typically she's going to be on one of the frames, but in this case she's there on the bottom board. So always be careful with these extra bees. We're just going to try to get her down and into the hive. And she's fast. Let's see. And there she goes, right down between the frames. Shake these off. I'll lean this up. And they'll all make their way in. And now I know where the queen is. I know she's not in here. And just shake these bees off from the top of the box. And there's a few stragglers, but I'm gonna lean these pieces here and they'll find their way in. It's getting late in the day, so we can go ahead and get the top cover on, get them closed in before they start getting grumpy. And that's it. So that's the entire process for installing your nuke into its new home.